In solo leveling, at an ominous meeting between 5 of the 9 absolute monarchs, the Monarch of Frost stated that the Shadow Monarch was currently on the surface of the earth, making Yogamont, the Monarch of Transfiguration, ask if he didn't previously say that there was no vessel that could fully contain his true power, which was the exact reason the Dragon King, the Monarch of Destruction, couldn't remain on the surface of the earth. The Frost Monarch responded saying that he had seen it with his own eyes, and that he was a greater threat than the fragment of brilliant light. He went on to say that he would be taking care of him and asked the rest of the monarchs if they would help him in this endeavor because he's too scared of doing it alone. Shitting his pants, the Monarch of Iron Body responded that picking a fight with him would only lead to him getting smacked to death since the opponent was one of the strongest of the 9 monarchs, saying they should just wait until the return of the Monarch of Destruction. Still butthurt about the dagger that pierced his left shoulder, the Frost Monarch went on to say that even though they're on the run, they're still monarchs, asking if their only option was really just to wait for the Dragon King, saying the only chance they have of defeating the Shadow Monarch is now, since he's still in his human form, and pleads with them to help him, saying that he would be taking responsibility to return him to nothingness. Tarnak, the Monarch of Iron Body, responded, telling him to keep him out of this, with the Monarch of Transfiguration, saying he also didn't want to become like the Demon King Monarch of White Flames either. The Monarch of Fangs stepped in, calling them cowards, making the Monarch of Iron Body respond, saying that he should know what happened to the Monarch of White Flames after he was defeated, and didn't want to get caught in the Shadow Monarch's authority to suffer through an eternal slumber. Raken responded, saying he didn't think he could make them into his servants while they're in their original forms. Tarnak responded that it seemed like the Administrator and the Shadow Monarch were working together, meaning he could create a replica of them and didn't want to turn into a tool in his world, with both of the scared MFs taking their leave. Raken asked the Monarch of Frost what his evidence was that he was still human, making him respond, saying that he had applied poison onto his dagger and wasn't something Ashborn, the Monarch of Shadows, would do. Grinning about the fact he had used poison, a baddie with a fatty, the Monarch of Plagues, Queresha, went on to say that if the Shadow Monarch could fully control their human body, then he wouldn't be using these tricks, making Scyllid ask if she would be joining him. She responded saying she would help him indeed, making Raken grin, saying they would be unaliving the Shadow Monarch together. After the funeral of the chairman of the Korean Hunter Association, Jinchul shouted to passerbys, telling them to think it over again who would be the one saving their lives when another S-ranked gate opens again in the world, saying that even if they paid hundreds of thousands of times the money they paid for their house, they would never be able to buy back their life. He went on to say that back when Drippy Woo was fighting against the ants on Jeju Island, the chairman who was watching the broadcast with him told him that he could finally die in peace now that his wish had been fulfilled. But he never would have thought that he would actually pass away like this. Standing atop a building in the middle of the rain, Sung Drip Woo stated that he couldn't sense his magical power, meaning the method he was currently using wouldn't work. He remembered back when he had fought the Monarch of Frost, saying he didn't have a shadow. And according to what the Monarch of the beginning had told him, rulers and monarchs couldn't become part of his shadow army, since once their original form dies, they would be destroyed. Meaning, if that's the reason why monarchs don't have shadows, then he's just lost one of the best ways to track him down. But it didn't matter either way, saying that as long as he's the hunter, he wouldn't let his prey get away. At the Korean Hunter Association, since it had been a week since the chairman's passing, a man stated that it was now time to choose his successor. He went on to say that the fact the chairman was an S-rank hunter held a great significance, and now that the association who was overseeing the 5 great guilds have lost such an important figure who would be able to control them. Another man responded asking if he was suggesting they should hire another S-rank. But even though the higher-ranked hunters are more influential, they should still be cautious of bringing in outsiders. He went on to say that after an intense discussion with the directors, they would like to nominate Jinchul as the new president of the association. He responded asking why him. A director responded saying they believe he was the previous chairman's closest assistant and had gained the most skills related to leadership with the ability to call hunters into action. He went on to say that there was no law indicating that only an S rank could take the chairman's place, saying that he was the perfect candidate seeing how he had a great influence among the hunters. Jinchul responded saying that he was lacking in too many aspects to be taking such an honorable position, and that there were many others who are higher ranked than him, saying that he was too young and naive. He went on to say that the directors and managers who have gathered here today would be better candidates than him, and asked why should he sit where President Go-Gun-hee has before. The man responded saying that him and the other executives of the association do not have the power to move around the greatest forces of Korea, but he has the power to do so. Going on to say that he has connections with many great guilds, and above all, he has a connection with the S-ranker Sung Drippy Woo. Jinchul responded saying that he did run into him frequently, but doesn't know if Drippy Woo would think of him the same way. The director went on to say that they could not force Jinchul to go with their decision, but asked him if he would carefully consider their proposal. "I will," he responded. At the Scavenger Guild in the USA, the national-level hunter Thomas Andre stated that it had been a while since he last came to the underground. Two of the agents guarding the entrance suddenly jumped from their seats, shocked by Andre's sudden visit, but he asked them why they were acting all startled for, telling them to sit back down. After opening the door with the fingerprint scanner, Secretary Laura asked Andre if he was really thinking of giving that away as a gift. He responded asking if she thought that wasn't worth the lives of him and his guild members. Laura responded, telling him that that wasn't the case, making Andre ask if she thought he lacked the skills to be able to use it instead, making Laura look down in silence, since that was indeed what she was thinking. After arriving at the sight of the item oozing ominous aura, Thomas Andre smiled, saying it was just as awesome as always. Laura stated that there were only 2 of them in the world, and is sure that that number would stay consistent throughout the future. Laura went on to ask once again if he was really thinking of giving that to him. Andre responded, confirming it, saying that because of the exact reason that it was such a great item, he would indeed be giving it to him. Going on to ask if she didn't think it was a waste that the best of all weapons was just rotting here gaining dust. Seeing the article appointing Woo Jinchul as the next chairman of the Hunter Association, Gina stated that the chairman was unalived and now a handsome man had taken his place, looking out of the window and saying that the country's in chaos, and so is the rest of the world. Turning her head back and seeing her mother doing the dishes, she gave her a big hug, making Mom tell Gina to take out the trash if she didn't have anything better to do, but she responded saying she was too lazy to do it. With a grim expression, Gina then asked her mom if they could move. Questioning where this was coming from, Mom responded saying she still liked this house, making Gina ask what did she like about this old apartment. Mom responded saying that it may be old, but she still liked it here, and then asked if she would fold the laundry, calling her her sweet daughter. Gina responded saying she was only her sweet daughter when she wanted her to do her chores. After walking into the laundry room, Gina suddenly stopped in her tracks after noticing something strange, quickly running out calling for her mother. Outside the Ajin Guild's office, a group of reporters gathered. Talking amongst themselves, someone asked if it was true that he was really in the Ajin Guild's office right now. A reporter responded confirming it, making the man say it was unbelievable that the national-level hunter Thomas Andre was currently in the Ajin Guild's office. Sweating his balls off and grinning profusely, Jinho is utterly shocked by the fact that the great Thomas Andre would come all the way to Korea and was right in front of him at this second. Not only that, but Leonard Nierman, the strongest hunter in Germany, was here as well on top of that. Seeing that Thomas Andre and Leonard Nierman were both looking for a meeting with Sung Rizzy Woo, Jinho starts sweating his balls off, saying that they've been here for more than 2 hours and Drippy Woo still wasn't answering his calls. Leonard looked down anxiously, questioning if he would even be able to meet Big Papa Woo, since even Thomas the Goliath was here to see him as well. Secretary Laura then translated for Thomas, asking if Rizzy Woo was currently in the middle of a raid, making Jinho nervously reply, saying that that was probably the case. Rizzy God Woo finally arrived, opening the door, saying he was back, making Jinho and the workers jump from their seats, sobbing from relief. Seeing Thomas Andre waving at him, Drippy Woo thought to himself that he was wondering why there were so many reporters downstairs, but he had a feeling it was him because of his aura. With his soul leaving his body, Jinho shouted, asking why he wouldn't answer his calls, making Diddy Woo respond saying that he was a little busy with gates spawning left and right, saying he couldn't just sit around doing nothing, also noting to himself that Baru and Igris were close to ranking up. Thomas stood up approaching Drippy Woo, saying it had been a while, making Jinho stare at both of them nervously, questioning if they would face off against each other here. Drippy Woo then asked Thomas what brought him to Korea, making him respond saying that he had told him they should grab a bite once his arm healed, going on to say that he brought him a fantastic present just for him. A gift? Drippy Woo asked, making Andre say that he was glad to see him interested, and asked if they could go somewhere else since he couldn't give it to him here since it was quite dangerous. With his soul leaving his body a second time, Jinho questioned if it could be a bomb since he said it was dangerous, whispering to Drippy Woo not to go since it could be a trap. "And you are?" Drippy Woo asked. Leonard Neerman responded, introducing himself, making Rizzy Woo question if he was here to ask for protection from the Monarchs. Completely ignoring Leonard, Thomas suggested to Drippy Woo if they should get going, making Leonard flinch, which made Thomas turn around, asking who told him he could follow them. Leonard responded, saying that he also waited over 2 hours to meet with Papa Woo, asking if he wasn't allowed to join. Thomas responded with a dead serious look in his eyes, saying what he was going to discuss with Drippy Woo was top secret, and there wasn't any room for him. As both of them walk away to a second location, Leonard in the back questioned if this was really how it was going to be, saying that he's never been treated this way before. At a juicy-licious dinner, Thomas snapped his fingers, telling Drippy Woo he had no idea how long he's been waiting for this moment. An agent then put a case on the table, making Drippy Woo question what it was. Thomas then asked if he could feel its power, going on to say that this was his way of repaying him for sparing both him and his guild members' lives that day. With a look of surprise, Drippy Woo then asked if this was really Kamish.